So good afternoon. This afternoon we will talk about carbon emissions and globally climate change. So first I would like to thank all my colleagues at OpenNet who work hard on this module to make it look like so simple today. And also thank Jacques-André Eberhardt, the CEO and founder, who had this vision like 3 years ago to start working on accounting directly in accounting, and that was great. So I will start by a quick presentation of the planet boundaries and the carbon footprint. That is the reason why we did work on this topic, and then we will look at the problem we did face and how we managed them. And at the end, we will have a quick demo to show live how it is happening. First thing we need to understand is about these planet boundaries. What are the processes that regulate the state of the Earth system so we can have a desired planet? We talk about biodiversity loss, we talk about pollution, but here we will concentrate on carbon emissions. Climate change is related to the greenhouse effect. There is a natural part and a part that is related to human activities that is causing the additional warming that we all know and understand in the planet. And now we will dig into this specific part of carbon footprint. Why would we want to measure this? First, if you want to improve your carbon footprint, it's better if you know where it is. So we need to calculate it. And by calculating it, you will also understand where you will be able to act and what are the parts that you need to improve. It also enhances, basically, the accountability to meet your stakeholders, clients, and employee expectations. How to measure your carbon footprint? There are some processes that you need to follow that are guiding you in order to measure all the upstream activities, everything that is directly related to your company, but also the downstream activities. This is a process that is divided into multiple steps, starting from data collections, then emission calculation, to finish with the reporting results. Calculating is one thing, but what we want is to reduce. So part of this process at the end is an action plan in order to define where and what you want to reduce. And the solution that we did implement gives you the ability to follow real-time your carbon emissions in order to fulfill the requirements of the action plan that you have defined. What is the problem, you may say? It looks simple, right? It's definitely not. Consultants, environmental consultants are taking ages in order to collect the data. And of course, it becomes expensive, so that's a real first problem. It's also quite tedious for these guys who are usually quite skilled and who could focus and concentrate on reducing. And the problem is that every year you need to start again because usually it is done in Excel. So that's a real pain. And when all of us are looking at these kind of reports, the first thing that we have in mind is, how did I get greenwashed? So the idea here is to provide something that is as transparent as possible. The reason why we're going to release this engine open source, try to rely on open data for the emission factors. And this solution is directly, of course, integrated within Odoo, and you will see during the demo all the side benefits that we have by doing so. It is a solution that is compliant with all the internationally recognized protocols, such as the one in France, Bilan Carbone, but also the GHG protocol, that is a bit more known in Europe and around the world. And it's also a wish from us to build a strong community in order to share the good practices, and to build this co-opetition and no competition here. We all want to reduce, we want to cooperate and to build this strong community. What is the plan? Remember this slide? We need to measure all of this. So here at the bottom, you see the company vehicles. The fleet application will help us doing so. Then we need to deal with the company facilities. We will be able, with the manufacturer module, to deal with that. At the left, the purchase application will help us monitoring all the purchased goods and services. How are we going to manage our capital goods? Simple. The asset module is here to monitor all of this. Transportation and distribution, inventory, easy. Business travels, expense. Why wouldn't we use the expense application? Employee commuting, this is extra accounting. Why don't we use the HR application? Again, super simple. Leased asset, there is a lease, there is a rental application in Odoo. This is where we will manage all of this. How do you distribute and transport your goods to your customers? Again, the inventory plus everything that is related to transportation. How about the sold products? Let's use the sale application. And here the invoice one in order to show to your customer what is the weight of the carbon that you're transmitting to them. Leased asset, again, rental application, franchises, and all your subsidiaries. The consolidation module is here to help and to support you. And for the investments, again, basic, these are the assets we will support you. And all of this will simply and basically fall within the accounting module. Simple. But it's not all. How are you going to ask your employees where they are traveling from, how many kilometers they are, what is their commute? All of these side applications will support you using the survey in order to ask your employees. The e-learning module is something also that is very fundamental in order to embed all of your employees in this trip, in this journey. The knowledge app in order to share the good practices. How are you going to promote your approach, your carbon footprint reducing? Using the website and the email marketing, you will be able to inform your suppliers and your customers and try also to convince them to act. And the dashboarding application will simply support you in monitoring and in reporting your carbon footprint. These are the competitors. See at the bottom left, nobody is capable of dealing with carbon accounting in the ERP space today. Nobody. Odoo is the only solution, and the solution we have implemented is the only one that exists within an ERP. The ones at the bottom right are the startups who are building some super nice tools that are really glossy, that's for sure, but nothing is connected to your ERP, and it's a real pain when you want the year after to update your data, and it's again taking ages and costing a lot of money. Within the solution that we have built, you have the best of the two worlds. We need to improve a little bit our reporting, to be 100% honest, as you will see later on, but all the foundations are here. Let's jump into Odoo. In terms of features, first, you need to define what are your emission factors. So let me share the screen. So here you see, for instance, these are some emission factors, and in these emission factors you can define if they are physical or monetary. You can define the uncertainty value and define all the vintages, because of course it can move over time. You have the ability to also define all the gases that have been defined by the CO2 protocol. These are the emission factors. This is the reference data. You can import many more, of course. It's up to you depending on the ones that you will use. How do we compute this? I'm going to show you directly in Odoo. Let's create a vendor bill where we will purchase electricity. And we say that we did purchase, it's a vendor bill, 745 kilowatt hours. As you can see, the CO2 here is being computed, and it's directly embedded within the account move line in front of your currency. So this is really at the lowest level of Odoo that we have embedded such features. And in terms of computation, so you have the emission factor that is being defined here at product level. As you can see, we said this is an electricity mix from Switzerland, and this is why it gets computed with this figure directly in the invoice. We used, of course, all the features that we have in Odoo in terms of conversion, either for currency or for unit of measure management. And all of this is also being computed following the international regulation in terms of uncertainty. That's something that is quite important. Now let's talk about the accounting by itself and all the side feature. We talk about log date, of course, when you want to close a given period. You can also do the same for your carbon reporting. When you're done with it, then you simply close this period and nothing else can change anymore. It is integrated, as I said, at the lowest level of the accounting module, and so you benefit from all the reporting. You will also benefit from the budget management later on, and you benefit from everything that is related to asset, as I will show you in 30 seconds, right after talking about the other application that has been integrated. This is the purchase application. Who is better placed than the guys from the purchase department to know what is the weight of the carbon that is associated to a given purchase? So let's do it. And let's do so that the guys from the purchase departments are also aware that we need to reduce the carbon footprint. So here, for instance, let's purchase, a flip over 1,070 francs. And let's say that I tried to find a supplier with a good carbon flip over. So it's only 125. So this is what it told me. And I want to lock this value. Sorry. And I'm locking the carbon value. Now I confirm the order, receive, validate, and I will go straight into the invoice. And this flip over is actually an asset. So I will show you the way the assets are managed in Odoo. You still carry your 125 that will be depreciated over time, exactly the same way that the financial application is doing it. So here you have your weight, 125. It has generated all the associated entries, and the depreciation will follow the exact same model, except that here you will see the CO2 in front of the Swiss francs as we did before. HR. What is the carbon footprint related to HR commuting? Simple. We have an HR application, and we basically had this tab where we define for every single employee the way they are commuting to the office. So this lady is coming by bike, an e-bike, and is doing 57 kilometers per week. So you do the same for all of them. Some may not reply, so you will have to use an average. And it generates a simple entry within the accounting journal that is associated to it. As you can see here, that will compute, depending on the way they are commuting, the associated carbon footprint for every single employee. And for the ones we did not answer to the survey, it will be an average that will be computed. Expenses. There's a lot around expenses in the carbon footprint of a company. Again, we use the expense app, and depending on the product, so here we take, for instance, the mileage as an example. Oops. So here we have defined as a product something that costs 75 cents per kilometer. And we said that for the mileage, we will use this emission factor here at the bottom that is worth 0.353 kilograms of carbon per kilometer. In the expense app, we will define this product like this. And in the end, when you create your expense, let's say I did visit client carbon killer, why not? For 52 kilometers, for instance, and let's create a report, submit, and generate the associated journal entries to see that, again, we will send all of this data to the invoice lines, and you will notice here this 18 kilo that is worth 52 kilometer time the emission factor that is related to it, the 0.353 that we have here on this specific mileage. Reporting. Of course, you want first to report, but also then to monitor. So we did build a lot around the MIS reporting tool, and that's, for instance, a way to look both at your currency, where you're reporting from, Swiss francs, euros, dollars, whatever, and in front of it, the exact same view, but for the carbon. That's one way to look at your reporting, but you may be a bit more interested in looking at a report that is showing it by emission factors, by categories of emission. So here you see the comparison between N and N-1, a year-to-date report for the data center, for the human resources, all the services, the transport, and so on and so forth, that is built on top of this MIS report. So that's one way to look at it. And then there are some reports that you need to comply with for the GHG reporting. This is the way you need to report. Everything is already done and available in what has been implemented. We have several applications on top of it. The first one is the one we called Myct CO2. This is an application that has been created in order to estimate the carbon footprint of 35,000 cities in France. Since 2016, we have this evolution that is available directly on our website, and it's open data, it's open source, and the plan is to grow this in European Union. So if you're interested and you're somewhere else than France, then feel free to try to improve it and to deploy some other countries. My company CO2 also, of course, and by the end of November, we are really proud to say that OpenNet will be able to release the first ever corporate carbon report fully compliant with the GHG protocol, handled directly within an ERP. And we are ready to deploy the module for any other clients who might be interested. Well, that's very exciting, of course, as a project, but also as an individual and as any organization that are here in the room. Carbon footprint management is really crucial for sustainability. We want to emphasize on the open source and the open data transparency that is guiding our mission. That's something very, very important for us. And We want to focus really on making this process as streamlined and as integrated as possible in order to make it affordable for any company to be able to compute and to report its carbon footprint. It's applicable to any type of organization. It can be in the public or in the private sector. Anybody is capable of using it. Thanks a lot for your attention. And if you have any question, you're welcome.
Anyone has a question?
Hi, thank you very much. Very interesting. Do you already have the module available for us to try it out?
Yeah, the module is available open source. Then, as any Odoo modules, I would say, it may be important sometimes to be guided in order to configure it correctly, but you can feel free to try and test it and send us a message if you need something.
Perfect, thanks.
Is it available on the App Store or just?
Not yet. It will come and on the OCA also, of course. So this is coming. It's a bit fresh, to be honest.
Anyone else?
Was too clear.
Or
too dark, I don't know. One or the other.
What is your biggest customer?
Us. Now, let's be honest. We did, of course, perform this carbon reporting by an external company. We did it the usual way in Excel. And then what we are doing at the moment is finishing the integration directly into Odoo, developing the last missing pieces in order for this lady to be able to certify not what she did, but what we will provide directly out of Odoo.
Sorry.
Hi, do you have a template for finding out that what the CO2 debt would be based on the operations any company would do? Because we have many clients for whom we do bookkeeping and accounting, and few of them are in some really different businesses. So how do you do that survey?
So there is a simple part, so to say, that is giving, instead of having the official carbon reporting, is giving the ability to have a footprint. It means it's not perfect, but it's already a good idea. And what we do is simply linking an account with an emission factor that is a monetary emission factor, known not to be perfect, with a bit of uncertainty. But then you can provide a first view. This is exactly what we did with Myct CO2. As you can imagine, 35,000 cities. We didn't do it manually for each of them. So we did grab the data that is available, open data. We have associated the emission factors in front of all of the accounts available in the chart of accounts, the normalized chart of accounts, and we did perform a computation that is giving a first global view for your organization of where the carbon that you need to reduce.
Hi. From which version of Odoo is your module compatible with?
So it's from version 16, and if you are in a previous version, we will find someone to migrate, to backport it and to make it available. I'm talking for my colleagues here.
Thank you very much for presentation. What if company has a negative CO2 footprint? For example, it's like indoor cultivation of plants. We are buying CO2, and so maybe we can sell, I don't know, carbon credits. Is any such opportunity, maybe not now, maybe in future, we can expect from the module? Thank you.
Yeah, basically this is working more or less out of the box, because this is an accounting entry where you are spending money in order to offset carbon. But what I want to emphasize on is that you don't have a negative footprint. You may be neutral, but first there are some emissions, and the carbon that you're talking about is just something that is offsetting. And what we want to emphasize is that first thing that we need to do is to try to reduce the emissions before trying to purchase any kind of carbon offsetting, can be financial or whatever else. But that's my view. Odoo can do both.
I think that's time, right?
We're good? Thank you. Thanks a lot.